Okay, I think we're live now. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why YouTube changed the settings where before, I would go live, right? Like, I would connect OBS to YouTube, and then I can, press a button on YouTube and then go live when I'm ready. Just, make sure everything's set up, make sure everything works. But no, now it just goes live, so sorry about that earlier. I went live before I was ready to go live. I just need to see if the stream is actually going because I have no idea of knowing if it's actually live or not. So I'm going to look at my YouTube channel. It says I'm live. Final predictions, Night Gen. Yep. Okay. So people can't hear me, apparently. Final predictions, Night Gen. Yep. Okay. Well, I can hear me in the video. So people can't hear me, apparently. I am audible. Okay. Sierra says I'm audible, so that's good. How's everyone doing today? Can you still... Okay, Sailor, you can hear me. Okay, Dr. Dan, you can hear me. Alright, great. So the last thing I need is technical difficulties. I really do not want that. I don't stream that often, so I want it to go right. So as you can tell by the title, this is going to be my final predictions for the 9th generation consoles, being the PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X /S/ whatever else they have going in the future. And I figured it would be an interesting stream. It was originally supposed to be like an actual video, like a full video, but I figured, I really don't stream that often. It's very rare that I go live, so why not make a live stream out of it? So I thought that would be really cool. So everyone can hear me. That's great. So yes, I got a few people adding me on Discord. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna announce it early on so you guys know what's up. So for the first hour or so, I'm gonna dedicate it to just me giving my full predictions on the next generation of consoles, or I guess now it's getting close to current gen. We're less than a month away from the launch of these consoles. I'm just gonna give my full predictions on how I think the entire generation is going to play out, and then towards the end, I'd say the last half hour or so, I'm gonna actually take calls on Discord from my viewers. So that should be really cool. What's up, Vince? How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in. Got 4 people so far, which isn't that bad. So let me add the person that added me. Do not call me yet. I'm not taking phone calls yet on Discord. Give that an hour. So if you want to do the calls, and if you don't care about my predictions for 9th gen, you can tune out and then tune back in an hour. I will not be offended if you do not want to listen to the whole stream. I understand. We all have lives. We all have stuff going on. It's a lot to ask for to listen to someone talking straight for 2 hours. I'm not much I do live streams very infrequently. I'm not someone that really watches live streams at all. I'm just someone who... I watch YouTube videos, I make YouTube videos, and I don't understand why people do the whole streaming thing, honestly, but people kept asking for it, so I'm going to be doing it right now. Dr. Daniel316 says, I was waiting for this all week, to be honest. It's always a good day when you stream. Wish you do more. See what I mean? I'm not just making it up. There are actually people that want to see me stream live. So, this is for you people. Thank you. Sierra Air, schedule 1 hour of wrong predictions and then Discord calls. Well, we'll see if they're wrong. We'll see. Maybe it would be fun to check back at the stream 3 years from now or so. Actually, I already made a video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I made it a long time ago. I think I made the video a year ago. Already making predictions for the 10th generation consoles, the PlayStation 6, and whatever the next Xbox is going to be called. Actually already made predictions for that generation. They're very early predictions. Before we even knew the name, I referenced the Series X as Scorpio. We didn't even know what that console was called, so it's that old. But yeah, I did make a 10th prediction video. But it's obviously very early on, and most of those predictions are probably going to be wrong. But I thought it's fun to just speculate about what the future holds. And I like speculation. I like just thinking about what could happen in the future. I just find it it makes for very interesting conversations. So, without further ado, let's get started. What's up, Dragon Sage? Thank you for tuning in. Sailor Mercury says, can't be as bad as Review Tech USA's predictions of the PS4, Xbox One. He said, from what I remember, Review Tech said that it was going to be the last generation of consoles, right? The 8th generation was going to be the last console generation. GameStop was going to be long out of business. Well, GameStop's still going, and we got a new generation of consoles. So, yeah, I guess Review Tech was wrong. I think he was saying, like, that we were all going to be playing games on our phones, and that's how we're going to be gaming. That's what his prediction was. He said there was going to be no more console generations. So, yeah. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going to pretend that I'm better than Review Tech or I'm better than anybody else that makes predictions, because I could be completely wrong on everything. On my political channel, I've made predictions about the upcoming 2020 election, and I could be completely wrong. Like, I definitely wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't bet money on my predictions. No way. It's just fun speculation. That's all it is. Dr. Daniel says they really should have kept the Xbox Scarlet name for Series X and Scorpio for Xbox One X. If you ask me, those names sounded much better. Oh yeah, Series X was Scarlet, not Scorpio. Right, I think I got the two mixed up, but I'm not the only person that gets the Series X and Xbox One X mixed up, because apparently there are a lot of people out there that thought they were getting a Series X and they pre-ordered or they purchased an Xbox One X on Amazon. So yeah, the naming of the Xbox Series X is probably one of the worst named consoles in video game history. It's just so bad. And that's not me saying the console is going to be bad or anything like that. I'm just saying the naming of the console is horrible. It's almost as bad, probably just as bad as the Wii U. Because it's awful. Xbox Scarlet and Xbox Lockhart really would have been much better names. So yeah, a lot of you were saying the code names for the consoles would have been better than the actual console names themselves. And we'll be talking more about what I think the future holds for the Xbox console brand with Game Pass and everything else that's coming in, what I think is going to happen. Magnamaster 1801, the naming is exactly as bad as Wii U, because just like the Wii U, it made people buy the wrong console. Yeah, people thought that the Wii U was an expansion or an add-on for the Wii, because it literally has the name Wii on it and then a U next to it. They honestly, they would have been better off just saying Wii 2. Wii 2 would have been a much better name, because, like, PlayStation 2, you know it's the next PlayStation. You know it's a new generation. Wii 2, you would have known that it was the next generation. Why'd they have to say Wii U? Like, why'd it have to be all convoluted like that? I have no idea. But, you know, the funny thing is that when we talk about the 8th generation of consoles, we talk about the PlayStation 4, we talk about the Xbox One, and I guess we talk about the Switch now, but we don't really talk about the Wii U, even though that was an 8th gen console. It's just, the Wii U is just so forgettable. And, most of the games that were on the Wii U ended up coming to Switch, so it's almost as if the console was never even a thing. But yeah, I find that very entertaining. Wouldn't Lockhart Scarlet be confusing also? Yeah, I do agree with Sierra that naming the Xbox, just naming them by the code names, like that being the official name of the consoles, I feel like that would be a shitty name too. Xbox Lockhart, Xbox Scarlet. Like, people are gonna be like, what the fuck is a Lockhart? What the fuck is a Scarlet? Like, code names should be code names for a reason. I remember the Switch's code name was NX, right? It was NX. Yeah, I think the Switch is a better name than NX, at least. Nintendo got it right with their new console. I'll give them credit. You know, they're doing really well with the Nintendo Switch, and I'm not sure, like, I'm gonna try to predict. I'm going to include the next Nintendo console in this prediction, even though I originally included it in 10th gen. We will get a new Nintendo console in 2023, so that is very soon. That is less than 3 years from now. We are going to get a new console from Nintendo, and I'm not just making that up. This isn't part of the speculation. Nintendo has confirmed earlier this year that the Nintendo Switch is halfway through its life cycle, which means that in 2023, if you do the math, because the Switch came out in 2017, in 2023, we're going to get a Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever you want to call it. I do think that it is going to be another version of the Switch, but we'll get to that later. Let's start off with the consoles that are confirmed and we know about. Okay, so we got the PlayStation 5, which has two versions. We have the standard edition of the PlayStation 5, which costs $499. It's $500, 500 euros, and I believe it's 450 pounds. I believe I got that correct. So that's the pricing, and the difference, of course, we all know the difference. The standard edition has a disc drive in it, while the digital version does not. And the digital version is going to be $100 cheaper at $399, 400 euros, and 350 pounds. Yeah, I got the notes right here. That's the pricing for those consoles. And it's going to launch on November 12th, so tomorrow will be 1 month away from the launch. But the interesting thing is that most of the people that pre-ordered the PlayStation 5, a lot of them are not going to get it on launch day. Some of them might not even get it by Christmas. Some of them might have to wait. Even though they pre-ordered the console already, they might have to wait until 2021. So it makes me think, what's the point of pre-ordering the console if you're not even going to get it at launch? Because the whole point of pre-ordering is to get it as soon as possible, right? And presumably, if the pre-orders are going to get held up until 2021, that means that the entire sales for the console, like the stock, the supply of the console is going to get held up for a while. So yeah, I guess if you do pre-order it, you will ultimately get it earlier than most. But my whole thing, the reason why I'm not really interested in buying these consoles, and obviously I'm a PC gamer, and I've outlined why I don't want to buy these consoles when it comes to paid online and stuff like that. But just the fact that all the people who are buying the Series X and PS5, the only thing they're bragging about right now is their ability to play old games, to play games from their PS4 and their PS5. Why don't you just stick with PS4? And oh my god, this game on the Xbox One, finally it runs at 60 FPS on Series X. Oh my god, this is next gen, but you're playing a last gen game. You're not playing anything new. You're not playing any games that are actually taking advantage of the new hardware. So early adoption is really a shitty thing. Like, if you're planning on doing it, please don't. I mean, I guess if you were planning on doing it, you already pre-ordered the console, so it's too late. But just putting that out there. So yeah, PlayStation 5, November 12th. Xbox Series X and Series S are launching 2 days earlier on November 10th. But again, not everyone's going to get it on launch day. So the Series X is the same price as the standard PS5, $500, and the Series S is $100 cheaper than the digital PS5 and $200 cheaper than the standard PS5 and the Series X at $300, 300 euros and 250 pounds. And the reason why I'm having all these currencies out there is because I recognize not all of my viewers are American, so I'm just having that out for everybody in all the major markets. But I guess if you're in Japan, you're like, what about me? Like, if I have one viewer in Japan right now, how much yen is it going to cost? Well, just Google it or Bing it, whatever you want to do. I don't even know why I'm going over this because everyone knows this information already. It's kind of a waste. You guys want to know what my predictions are, not information that we already know. So I guess I'm gonna move around. I'm gonna move on a little bit. Let me read your comments first, just so I don't miss them. Magnum Master says, I like quite a few of the Wii U games, but after the vast amount of fantastic Wii games, it just made it so much more noticeable how this didn't come close. Yeah, the Wii U wasn't great. Phantom says, I've always bought next-gen consoles within 2 to 3 years of them releasing. This is the only generation where I will try to buy both PS5 and Series X in year one, or at least the PS5. Well, I hope you're happy with that purchase, because right now the game library seems really dry. I mean, it's mostly backwards compatibility that people are talking about. That just tells you everything you need to know about about how sparse the game library is going to be. Dr. Daniel 316, I remember how bad the PS4 and Xbox One were to own at launch. They had no games worth playing at all. I think the most high-profile game was Call of Duty Ghosts. There was also Battlefield 4. That was another game. I remember I played a lot of Battlefield 4 back in the day. And then Sierra Air says, not every original Xbox One game was enhanced for Xbox One X. I fear the same will happen with the Series X. I think Sierra Air is actually, he's probably right on that, because they're not going to enhance everything, because that requires a little bit of extra effort on Microsoft's end, and they're not going to enhance every single game. They'll enhance some of them. I believe Assassin's Creed Unity, that's the game that people were talking about, because it ran like shit. It ran like a slideshow on the Xbox One, and on the Series X, it runs amazingly. But, again, we're talking about old games. You know what I mean? Like, you think you'd want games to come out that actually take full advantage of the hardware, and not just what we have going on now, where we have games like Horizon Forbidden West that aren't even coming out at launch. They're coming out next year. They're going to also come out on PS4, so they're not even going to be able to take full advantage of the PS5's hardware when they're sticking to last gen. So I think it'll be around 2022, 2023 by the time that PS4 and Xbox One are fully discontinued. I lean more towards 2023, just because it wasn't until 2016 that the PS3 was discontinued, and I think it'll be the same thing with the PS4. We will have a 10-year cycle, especially with things being volatile with the economy. I know pre-orders are high, but pre-orders, only people who are really enthusiastic about video games, those are most of the people that are pre-ordering, not regular average people. So, you know, that's one thing to keep in mind. And as far as the power difference, because that's something people talk about, I don't think we're going to see a significant difference in power between the Series X and PS5 like we sort of did with the PS4 and Xbox One. Remember back in 2013, 2014, people were talking nonstop about how you had some games on the Xbox One that ran at 720p, but then the same games on PS4 can run at, it varied. Some of them can go up to 1080, but most of them stayed around 900p, so it was a little bit better than the Xbox One. But, you know, I mean, people were definitely overhyping how much more powerful the PS4 was than the Xbox One. It really wasn't a significant difference, and I believe the same will be true. I know people talk about, oh my god, we got all these teraflops. Look, we got more teraflops than the Xbox Series X. I don't think it's going to really make a huge difference in terms of the difference in performance between the two consoles, especially the first couple years. We're not even going to know, because most of the games are also going to come out on last gen hardware, so you won't even be able to take full advantage of current gen. So, but they're all going to run on custom Zen 2 processors, RDNA 2 base GPU. I don't think we're going to see a huge difference. One may be, like, on paper, the Xbox Series X might have a little bit of a faster GPU. The PS5 also has a faster SSD, so, you know, I don't really think it's going to be a huge difference in terms of specs. Like, oh my god, this is just, like, the Xbox Series X is far beyond. And as far as the Series S is concerned, because that's the thing that people are most concerned about, that people are talking the most about, I don't think that the Series X is really going to hold back next gen, like people say it is. We're like, oh my god, this Series X is going to hold games back from reaching their full potential. Like, yeah, the Series S is less powerful than the Series X and the PlayStation 5, but really all that really means, and it has less RAM and everything, all that really indicates is that, yeah, the Series S can't do 4K. So yeah, of course it's less powerful, but it's meant to do 1440p. So unlike most people, I'm not going to say that the Series X is really going to make a huge difference in terms of, like, oh my god, these games are going to be held back and it's going to like be really bad for this generation, the Series S. I don't think that's going to happen. Why am I wearing headphones? Because I am going to take calls in an hour, so I just have them on, just getting ready for that. And also, like, if I take my headphones off, like I did my last stream, for some reason the whole webcam, like, came out of focus, because you know how, like, it's the headphones are kind of, like, reflecting a little bit? The headphones kind of, like, help keep the camera in focus. So that's actually the main reason why I have the headphones on, even though I'm not listening to anything or talking to anybody. Just, that's what's going on. Also, is the audio quality, like, really shitty? Hold on. Okay, no, never mind. I was scared that my webcam audio was being recorded the whole time instead of my Blue Snowball, but the Blue Snowball is being used. Good, because that would have been really awkward. Dr. Daniel says, when I hear teraflops, I think of console fanboys like Zaire, who Next Gen 720, talking about them as if they suddenly know what they are when they really... Yeah, that's the thing. They clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. These people that talk about, oh my god, 14 teraflops, like they talk about all these specs. You know, half the people that talk about it on Twitter, like Colt Eastwood and all these jerk-offs on Twitter, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, they're pretending like they're experts, but they don't know shit. And I'll tell you guys right now, I'm not pretending that I'm this huge expert that knows everything about hardware. Magnum Master could tell you that I have a lot more to learn when it comes to hardware. Magnum Master, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was a really embarrassing moment. He embarrassed me. You can go to Magnum Master's YouTube channel, and he exposes me for being a fraud, so that's great. Will we hear callers on stream? Yes, you will hear the callers on stream. I have the audio ready to go, but I'm just going to get through these predictions. Yeah, so as far as the hardware is concerned, I really don't think there's going to be a huge difference between the Series S, Series X, PS5. I really don't think that's going to be a big difference. Like, the Series X is a little faster than PS5, but both of the consoles, both the PS5 and Series X, they both have a significant power advantage over the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Like, so the gap between the PS3 and the PS4, it wasn't all that impressive, right? Like, when the PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2013, it didn't really feel that next gen. Like, yeah, of course, games look better. They had a lot better graphics. Like, obviously, like, The Witcher 3 probably wouldn't have been able to run on a PS3. I guess, you know, we could say that. But I think this generation is a much bigger leap in technology than what we saw last generation. So, ultimately, I don't really think it's going to matter. I expect most games to run at least 4K 60 on the PS5 and Series X, and 1440p 60 on the Series S. Although I imagine there will be discrepancies with certain games. Like, there will be certain games that will struggle to hit 4K 60. But at the same time, I still think you will have 4K 60 as an option for most games. And especially with Spider-Man Miles Morales, I'm pretty sure every game will run at 60. Like, I don't think 30 FPS is really going to be a huge problem anymore, like it was last gen, this gen. I keep getting confused. PS with the 8th generation consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One had a huge problem where most games were running at 30. I don't think we're going to see that much of it. I think 60 FPS on consoles is going to be more of a standard thing. I mean, we do have up to 120 FPS support on these consoles, so that could indicate that 60 FPS will be less of a problem this gen than last gen. But, you know, I think 60 FPS will always be the standard, because even games like Miles Morales, which will probably struggle to run games at 4K 60, they do have a performance mode. I'm slipping out of my tongue. There is a performance mode on Spider-Man Miles Morales for PS5 where you can run the game at 60 FPS. Like, they haven't necessarily, like, gone over exactly how it works, but I assume you can lower texture quality, you can lower certain things, kind of like on PC, right? You have ultra settings, you have high settings, medium settings. I believe performance mode, like, it doesn't give you all those options. It's not as customizable as it would be on a PC, but just if you turn on performance mode, the game will look a little bit less crisp. And it will be, you know, it won't look as good, but it will run at a higher frame rate. So it will ultimately be the best way to play the game. Like, if you want to play Miles Morales at 30 FPS, something's wrong with you. I'm just saying. But yeah, in terms of power, they're all ray tracing consoles. It will be a significant upgrade from 8th gen, more noticeable than the transition from 7th gen to 8th gen. So there won't be an observable difference in performance between the PS5 and Series X. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So 30 FPS has been an issue in 7th gen and 8th gen. Oh my god, 30 FPS. Like, okay, so to those of you who are watching right now that, you played console your whole life. You never really played on PC before. You're like, you probably watch these people on YouTube. You're probably listening to me right now being like, oh my god, here we go, another person complaining about 30 FPS. Like, it's not really a big deal. I love playing my games. Like, why are you going on about 30 FPS? You guys don't realize, once you transition, like, once you go to 60 FPS, you can't go back. And you guys on console haven't really had the option to go to 60. But for me, switching to PC, oh my god, like, I can't imagine ever playing another game at 30 FPS ever again. I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I even have a little bit of a problem with 60. Like, you guys have no idea. Like, so I have a second channel, right? MrNoobTubeGamer. That's my second channel where I post gameplays of Call of Duty and, you know, I play Modern Warfare on my PC. I actually played Medal of Honor today. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Medal of Honor 2010. I play that shit too. I play a whole bunch of different games on that channel. And I remember I was playing Battlefield Bad Company 2, which is a 7th gen game. It's even older. But I was running the game at 144 FPS. But YouTube obviously only supports up to 60. I remember, like, playing the game, having a really good experience, but then I went back and watched my YouTube video, and, like, it literally hurt my eyes. Like, going from 144, which is what I played at, to watching it at 60. It was just, like, my eyes were literally, they were actually hurting. So I used to think that guys like Rags and Bullet Barry, they were being, I just thought they were being dicks when they were talking about 30 FPS and 60 FPS. I'm like, it's really not a big deal, but no, it actually is. I actually learned that it is a big deal. Let me get through these comments because I'm way behind. I'm sorry. I actually did not expect this many people to tune in. We only have 15 people tuning in, but for me, that's actually a lot. The most people I have tuning in is like 10 people, 8 people, like, if I'm lucky. We actually have some pretty high turnout tonight, so thank you all for tuning in. It's just Sierra and Magnamaster arguing with each other in the comments. That's great to see. Oh, they're still arguing with each other. Why can't we all come together? Why can't we all get along? Why can't we all be friends? It's sad. Sad to see. So, Dr. Daniel says on PC with max setting, wait, you can tell the HN wasn't a huge leap from 7th when a game like Max Payne 3, which came out in 2012 for 360, PS3, and PC, looks on par, if not better, than a lot of games from 8th gen. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Like, there are games from 2010. Like, I was playing Medal of Honor 2010, and I'm like, yeah, this game can run up. Like, it looks like a PS4 game, not a PS3 game. Like, when you're running it on PC, even though it's a 10-year-old game. Yeah, so the transition from 7th to 8th was very underwhelming. From 6th to 7th, it was like, oh my god. I remember I came in my pants when I saw Metal Gear Solid 4 for the first time. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I was like 10 years old because, you know, I didn't get the PS3 until a couple years later. I was on my PS2 for a while because my parents were not going to buy a $600 console for me. That was just out of the question. So, but I'm like, I want the PS3. They're like, we're not going to pay $600 for a new console. You're good with your PS2. That's what my parents told me back in 2006, 2007. So, and I remember I told them, when I get a job, when I'm 14 or whatever, I'll get the PS3. And then my sister's like, you know, by then there's going to be like a PlayStation 7. And she wasn't completely wrong. I think I was 15 when the PS4 came out. So, yeah. Let's see. Okay, they're still arguing with each other, so I'm not going to read those comments. They're still going at each other. Please, Magnamaster, Sierra, please get along. So I don't think that specs and, like, performance is going to be a huge problem like it was last gen. I do think storage is going to be a huge problem. I think it's going to be a lot worse than last gen. 500 gigabytes with the PS4 and Xbox One, that was already bad. And I remember spending so much time just trying to come up with, like, which games I wanted to uninstall and which games I wanted to install. That was just something that took up so much of my time. Took up so much time reinstalling them when I wanted to play them again, and then uninstalling them again, and then reinstalling something else. storage was really bad on the PS4 and Xbox One. It was terrible. I mean, with games this gen reaching 100 gigabytes plus, storage ran out real fast. It ran out really fast. So, when I heard that the Xbox Series S has a 500 gigabyte SSD, I was just like, oh hell no. Oh hell no, because that's how they get you. Yeah, oh yeah, our console's so cheap. $300 Xbox, next gen console. Isn't that great? And then the first thing I heard though when I heard a $300 console, I'm like, what's the catch? You know, at first I'm thinking this console's gonna be so underpowered that it wasn't even gonna be true next gen. But I don't think that turned out to be true. What turned out to be true was that here's how they get you. You have to buy the proprietary SSD from Seagate, which is about, was it $220? So the minimum you'll be spending on the Series S is $520. At that point, you might as well just get the Series X or the PS5. The PS5 digital even. Because, yeah, you might as well just get the PS5 digital. If you're really on a budget. Because you are going to have to buy that SSD eventually. Like, you're not gonna have much time with 500 gigabytes. Especially as games get bigger over time. I mean, Modern Warfare is 250 gigabytes! That's half of your whole thing. That's half of your storage. So if you think that you're going to get by on 500 gigs with the Series S and will never have to buy the expandable storage, you're living in a fantasy world. I don't know what to tell you. You are going to have to spend a lot more money than you think you are. And of course it has to be the proprietary SSD, because that's how Microsoft makes all their money back. Oh yeah, they're taking such a huge loss selling the console, but they'll make most of that money back when you have to buy the overpriced Seagate SSD for $220. That for that price you can get a 2 terabyte SSD on PC. But guess how much storage the Seagate SSD is for $220? Only 1 terabyte. It's obviously a scam, and that the reason why it's so overpriced is so Microsoft can make all that money back. It's almost as shitty. It's probably shittier than what Sony did back in the day with the PS Vita. Remember the PS Vita? I'm sure most of you don't. I bought the PS Vita at launch day, and with how coming, like, I was so disappointed from the PS Vita that I never bought another console at launch ever again. I learned my lesson. PS Vita was awful. I know a lot of you in the chat right now is going to be like, how could you say that? How could you say the PS Vita was terrible? If you're into Japanese RPGs, PS Vita is amazing. But for the average person, including myself, it just didn't do much for me. But here's the point I'm trying to make, okay? We're not going to go on a whole tangent about the PS Vita. Who cares? Point I'm trying to make, with the PS Vita, they had these proprietary memory cards that you had to buy. And you had to buy them because the PS Vita without it literally came with, I don't even think it was a gigabyte. I think it was less than that. I remember I had one game on there and I was already running out of storage. So I got a 4 gigabyte memory card for like $60. Yeah, that's how much I paid for it back in 2012. So I got the PS Vita. I don't remember. Did it cost? I think it cost $250. I paid $250 for the Vita, and then another $60 for a 4 gigabyte memory card that ran out also. I think this is even worse because the price of the storage is almost the price of the console itself. Think about it. $300 for the Series X. Sorry, I keep... This just tells you how confusing this shit is, because I read up on this shit all the time, and I still get confused about Series X, Series S, 1X. My head hurts. But think about it. $300 for the Series S. $300 for the Series S. And then $220 for 1 terabyte SSD. You're almost spending twice the amount as the console itself. And other SSDs won't work. You can't just take your own SSD and put it in there. That's not going to fly. I believe, I thought that Sony was originally going to go the same route, but apparently you can use your own SSD if it is like a certain speed. So that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I thought Sony was going to do the same thing. I thought they were going to go the proprietary route, but no. It's just Microsoft because they're a bunch of scumbags. Phantom, even with physical games, you'll still need to shell out a good amount of money for extra storage, especially now with these super fast SSDs. So yeah, you are better off getting the reason why I said you're better off getting the PS5 digital, because the Series S is also digital only. Because yeah, you're going to spend $100 more, but you will at least will get a bit more storage, and you won't have to spend $100 a year for paid online. Because Xbox Live Gold went up from $60 a year to $100 a year. So, it seems like a no-brainer to me. And I'm not trying to get on the console. Like, I'm not going to try to tell people what to buy and how to spend their money. But, I mean, consoles in general are a bunch of money. Like, they're both money suckers. You will save more money in the long run if you just get a gaming PC. I'm just going to put that out there. But, out of both of the consoles, the PS5 seems like less of a money sucker than the Xbox console, so that if that makes any sense. This is going to be one of the worst things about next gen. Because getting the new console, it'll be much more expensive than the $300, $400, and $500 price tags. Because make no mistake about it, even the 825 gigabytes on the PS5, yeah, you're going to have to get more storage. Even the 1 terabyte on the Xbox Series X, which apparently is actually only 800 gigabytes because the OS is 200. So, you're going to have to get more storage, no matter which console you get. But I'm just saying, if you compare the digital Xbox and the digital PlayStation 5, the PS5 digital seems like a better value. Now, I will advise you, if you give up physical media, you're going to give up a lot of stuff. Games are going to be more expensive. You're going to be spending more on games than if you had the physical option. But I'm going to let you guys make your own decision. It's not my money you're spending your own money. So, it is what it is. Let's see. The Truth Teller. Even if PS5 SSD is somewhat cheaper than the Xbox version, you will still get more storage in Series X. Don't be fooled. You will have more storage in Xbox than PS5. But again, like I said, an extra $40 a year for online. I know what you're going to say. What about Game Pass? Because, you could get Game Pass Ultimate for $100 a year, which includes Xbox Live Gold. My whole thing is, Game Pass is great. Okay? Game Pass is cool. But why should you be forced to buy it? Why should you be forced to pay for online, period? But the fact of the matter is, if you don't want Game Pass, if you don't want anything to do with it, you want nothing to do with it, Microsoft pretty much telling you to go fuck yourself. Imagine if Sony raised the price for PlayStation Plus to $100 a year, and, oh yeah, it includes PlayStation Now. It includes all that shit, but still, to play games online, just for something simple as playing online with your friends, you're going to be spending a lot more money on Xbox than PlayStation. On PlayStation, you're going to have more games to play, period. At least for now. I know the whole Bethesda thing probably might change things up a little bit, but for now, I mean, what does Xbox have for the first couple years? They have Halo Infinite, and what else? PlayStation seems to have a little bit more going. You have the Sackboy game, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon 2, Demon Souls. So, I mean, hey, you guys can make your own decision. I'm not going to say, oh my god, PlayStation is so much better. I'm not buying any of them. So, don't mistake me for a Sony fanboy. I'm not going to buy the PlayStation 5. But I'm just saying, $220 for an SSD and $100 for online. It's a bit steep. It's a bit steep. Until Game Pass has super mega franchises like COD, GTA, Red Dead, it's only necessary for Xbox exclusive, which sucks right now. Yeah, I think you're right about that. So, storage is going to be a big problem. Okay, so as far as the SSDs, yes, the SSDs will be a huge advantage, but I don't think it's going to be as huge as people say. Yeah, obviously, loading cells are going to be reduced drastically. Loading times are going to be much faster. But we're definitely going to pay a huge premium for that, for $200+ for 1 terabyte expandable storage, and almost no storage on the base console. So games will load fast, but you're not going to have a lot of games loaded on the console at all because of how little storage you'll have. So, just saying. Okay. Storage is going to be a big problem. No way around that. It's going to suck. But I guess people know what they're getting into. Now let's talk about the model of the console. Okay, so we already know what there's a digital PS5, there's a standard PS5, there's an Xbox Series X, there's an Xbox Series S. I do predict that Microsoft will release more Series consoles to complement the Series X and Series S. I think there will be a $400 version of the Series X without a disc tray to compete with the digital PS5. So think of the Series X right now, but without a disc drive. I think Microsoft will release that eventually. Like, same specs. Maybe they'll redesign a little bit. Like, maybe this won't happen for another year or two, but I think it's going to happen because I think the ultimate goal of Sony and Microsoft this generation is to get rid of the physical market, which we'll talk a little bit about. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, yeah, I think we are going to get a $400 Series X with no disc drive. I think Microsoft will also release a $100, like a Roku-like box that can only do streaming for Game Pass. Like, it's not powerful enough to actually run games natively, but it's kind of like a little Roku thing. Think of like the PlayStation TV or something like that, or like the Nvidia Shield. You know, think something in that category, but it's an Xbox. And they'll sell like $100 xCloud streaming thing that can only do streaming, since xCloud streaming will be part of Game Pass. So it will essentially be a Game Pass box. Maybe you can also watch Netflix on it. You can also do all that other shit that you want to do. But the main purpose of it is, you know, it comes with an Xbox controller and it comes with Game Pass all ready to go, because it's probably going to be a while. You know, even if Game Pass takes off, I think it's going to be a really long time before Roku, before all the smart TV people, like before they all get on board with game streaming and Game Pass. So I think Microsoft will jump first and just release their own smart TV kind of thing and have like their own ecosystem. So I guess it doesn't really count as a console, because it will only be for streaming. But I think Microsoft will also do something like that. And of course, we'll also see a PS5 Slim eventually. Like we got the PS2 Slim, PS3 Slim, PS4 Slim. You know, like 2 or 3 years down the line, we'll get a cheaper version of the PS5 that's a lot slimmer. Because I don't know if you guys saw that thing up close. PS5 is huge. It could definitely use a slimming down in a couple years. Definitely. I think we'll probably get a slim Series X also. So, yeah, we will get slim consoles. But I do not expect there to be a PS5 Pro or a Series XX. I don't know how you would say that. Yeah, like, so we had the PS4 Pro. We had the Xbox One X this generation, or last generation. I don't think we're going to see that again, because I think this generation, it was a special circumstance where the consoles were really underpowered, and you kind of needed to kind of have like those upgraded consoles to make it feel like the consoles were still relevant. Now the thing was, of course, every game that was on the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X had to run on the original, so there weren't games that were exclusive on the One X or the PS4 Pro. So it really wasn't like a next-gen console upgrade. It was like a half-gen upgrade. I don't think we're going to see that this time around, because I think the consoles, the PS5 and Series X are in a much better position to last 5 to 6 years than the PS4 and Xbox One were. As we talked about earlier, I think the specs, it will feel more of a next generation leap than the previous gen, from 7th heading into 8th. So I don't really think that there's a need for a PS5 Pro or a Series XX. I just don't think that's going to happen. I'll be so upset if we get Pro models for the PS5. The Xbox Series X is plenty powerful, and the PS5 is plenty fast. I don't see the need for anything more than slim model revisions. That's what Phantom said. So, yeah. He seems to agree with me on that. And then Summonon says, $100 Xbox Series C. I don't know what they're going to call it, but they might just call it like Game Pass Box or something. I don't know. True Teller, I feel Sony will do a slim version. This launch console is so badly constructed that it is obscene. Me personally, I don't care if a console looks like a piece of shit. If it runs games nice, if it does everything it's supposed to do, I don't care how it looks. Like, people were saying, oh my god, the Series X looks awful, it looks like a fridge. Or it looks like, what else were they saying? I saw someone said that it looks like a dildo. And people were saying the PS5, it looks like so futuristic. It's like, the design of it, like, people say, like, whoever designed it was, like, on acid or something. Like, people don't like the designs for these new consoles, but I really don't think it matters. Like, people were complaining about the Xbox One's design, saying it looked like a VHS player. I don't care how a console looks personally. I mean, I guess it doesn't, like, if a console looks good, it definitely helps for its appeal. But I don't think it's the thing that matters the most. Like, the PS3 Slim was actually a necessary thing. Like, it actually was a lot better. It was more durable. It was more reliable. Like, that's the only thing that really matters with the hardware. The fat PS3 was a piece of shit. And not only, like, it looked like one of those, George Foreman grills. The old PS3. The PS3 Slim looked better, but it didn't matter. Like, it wasn't that it looked better. It actually was more reliable. So I don't know if we're going to get, like, another Red Ring of Death situation this generation. We didn't really have much of that with the PS4 and Xbox One, so hopefully Sony and Microsoft have learned their lesson on not releasing shitty builds of shitty consoles. Like, we really don't need more red rings and yellow lights. I don't think that'll happen. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, though, the PS4 and Xbox One barely kept up with mid-range PCs in 2013, while next-gen consoles will be competitive with higher-range PCs as of right now. So, at least for the next couple of years, I don't see a purpose. I really don't see a purpose for an upgraded PS5 or Xbox in the middle of the generation. I don't see a need for a PS5 Pro or an Xbox Series XX. The name sounds stupid, but you get what I mean. That's not going to happen. I don't think. So, those are my predictions spec-wise. So, as far as the performance, as far as all of that, and all the different model consoles we'll get, those are my predictions. Now let's get into sales. Like, how successful do I think these consoles are ultimately going to be? Now, Microsoft has made it very clear that they're not too concerned about selling hardware. That's not their end game. Their primary goal is to transform every Xbox player, everyone that has an Xbox right now, everyone that plans on getting an Xbox in the future. Microsoft's main goal this generation is to convert each and every one of those people into Game Pass subscribers. Not necessarily to sell the console itself, although of course they are hoping that the console is successful. And if the console flops, obviously that's not going to help expand Game Pass. So Microsoft has a different vision of the future than Sony does. Sony, they are investing in PlayStation Now. Apparently they're going to do a revision of PS Now in the future, but ultimately they're still a lot more traditional than Microsoft is. They're still committed to exclusives, meaning games are not going to be on other platforms. Yes, we had Horizon on PC, but I have a feeling that we're never going to see day one launches on PS5 come day one on PC. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. Of course, Microsoft's doing that, but it's also Windows, so the whole thing, it's a Microsoft platform, and Game Pass is fully integrated with Windows. You open the Windows thing, and Game Pass is one of the first things that pops up. So it makes sense to put their games on PC so that more people are enticed to buy Game Pass, because if you pay $10 a month, you get all those amazing games for one price. So that's Microsoft's strategy with putting their games on PC also. It's all about the Game Pass. That's all it's about. Because they see no difference between a PC gamer and an Xbox player as long as they're engaged with their services. And that's the big moneymaker for Microsoft. That's really what Microsoft's strong suit has always been. That's always been their strength. Software has always been their strength over hardware. Like, there haven't been too many big success stories with Microsoft hardware-wise besides Xbox. Like, the Surface tablets haven't really taken off. Whatever else they've been working on, like actual hardware that they've made, it doesn't really do so well. So yeah, services, that's their big thing. So with that being said, I think that Microsoft doesn't give a shit about how well the console's gonna, like, they don't care if they sell more consoles than Sony. They don't care like about the actual number of console sales. They care about the subscriptions, if they get more people to subscribe. Microsoft sees Game Pass as the future of the Xbox brand instead of the actual Xbox hardware. Now remember, Sony and Microsoft sell their consoles at a loss, but they make their money back primarily from game sales and online subscriptions. Those are the two main ways that console manufacturers make their money back. And Microsoft is betting big on Game Pass as their big moneymaker. So much so that they raised the price of Xbox Live Gold from $60 a year to $100 a year after discontinuing annual Gold memberships. The highest membership you can get now is 3 months for $25. So do the math. 25 times 4. $100 a year. And Microsoft already confirmed that Gold will still be a requirement to play games online. A lot of people were hoping that Xbox Live Gold will be free. It ain't happening. Microsoft's already confirmed Xbox Live Gold will still be a requirement for online multiplayer. So, sorry if you were hoping that. It's not going to happen. But this gets to my point. So, you'll have to lay out $100 a year if you want to play online. But you know what else costs $100 a year? Game Pass Ultimate, as we said earlier. 12-month membership, $100 a year if you get it for the 12 months. Over 100 games for PC and Xbox. And guess what? Gold is included. So you don't have to pay a separate fee for Xbox Live Gold if you subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate. And the funny thing is, I can imagine that a lot of the people who subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, they won't even have access to both platforms, but they'll still get Ultimate because it's still cheaper than getting Game Pass, getting the regular Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold separately. So almost everyone who has an Xbox is going to be subscribed to Ultimate, even though they don't have a gaming PC. I just think that's kind of funny, but that's their whole thing. That's their whole thing. That's their strategy. Microsoft is doing everything in their power to ensure that almost everyone that owns an Xbox console is also a Game Pass subscriber. Now, currently there are 90 million active monthly subscribers to Xbox services, including Gold and Game Pass. As of April 2020, Game Pass reached 10 million subscribers. And I believe recently it's been confirmed that that number is actually increased to 15 million as of, I think it was last month. I think before next gen is over, Microsoft will surpass 80 million Game Pass subscribers. I think Game Pass is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Game Pass is going to be a big thing. I think we're going to have over 80 million subscribers on Game Pass by the time we reach 2025, 2026, whenever this generation is over. Now, that sounds like a high number. That sounds like a very bold prediction. But when you take into account that almost every current Gold subscriber will be converted to Game Pass, and that the service is also available on PC and Android, I think my prediction will prove to be correct. Actually, I think if anything, I might be underestimating how successful Game Pass will be. I think it will sell at least 80 million. There will be at least 80 million active subscribers. I would actually go as far as to say now that we'll have 100 million subscribers over the next 5 years. Just because, think about it. Every person on Xbox, every person on PC, well, not everyone on PC is going to have Game Pass, but a lot of people on PC are going to subscribe to Game Pass, including myself. I'm going to subscribe to it eventually. And with the Android streaming, Game Pass is going to be huge, guys. No, Sailor, I don't have Game Pass yet, but I will get it soon. And then Magnum Master says, I feel like regular Game Pass only really exists for PC since there's no point in it for Xbox players. Well, the point for Xbox players is that they get gold. There really is no point for PC players. I will subscribe to Ultimate only because, excuse me. I will subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate because, as you guys know, I do run that Call of Duty channel, and most of the Call of Duty games, they don't really have a community on PC, so I really can't just like switch and play all those games on PC. Like, I still have to use my Xbox One for the second channel. That's almost, actually, we're on track to reach 1,000 subscribers before 2021 on my second channel, which is crazy. I think we're on track for that second channel to actually become my main channel one day, and this channel is going to become my second channel. So that's great. But yeah, so I'm going to have Game Pass Ultimate because I'll have the gold. I won't have to keep relying on Bing rewards to pay for my gold. Yeah, so if you guys are wondering, no, I do not pay like out of my own wallet for Xbox Live Gold. I use the Microsoft rewards by doing Bing searches. They pay you to use Bing instead of Google, which is kind of funny. But actually, I like Bing. I think Bing is a good web browser, not because I'm being paid to use it. And I'm not sponsored by Microsoft anyway, so it's not like I'm just saying bullshit to like, oh my god, Bing is so great. I think Bing is actually a really good web browser. In terms of like video search, it's superior to Google. And, you know, people are joking, like, I guess Bing is kind of like a meme. Like, oh my god, Bing, it's like a bootleg Google. No, it's actually a really good search engine. I think people should give it a chance if you haven't already. I laughed at it for a while, but I actually think it's really good. So Microsoft kind of enticed me to use it, and now, like, even if they get rid of the reward program tomorrow, I'm never going to stop using Bing. It's actually a really good web browser. Search engine. Why did I say web browser? I'm a fucking retard. Bing is a good search engine. Bing is awesome. So, just putting that out there. So as far as PlayStation Now, because let's talk about that, since we kind of went to subscriptions for a little bit. I think PlayStation Now will continue to struggle into the next generation. Sony currently, they only have 2 million subscribers. Yeah. We have 15 million subscribers on Game Pass, which is a newer service. It's a much newer service. They came out with Game Pass a few years later than PS Now. And PS Now still, it came out in 2014, and they only have 2 million subscribers. That's really bad. Like, that's actually not good at all. I think Sony is losing a lot more money off of just running the servers than people who are actually giving them money to subscribe to it. Now, they are overhauling their cloud infrastructure. Ironically, using Microsoft's Azure cloud. So PlayStation Now in the future will run on Microsoft Cloud, which is very ironic for obvious reasons, because they're going to try to compete with Game Pass. So they're going to get rid of their original Gaikai network that they had going on, and they're going to replace it with Azure eventually. The service will improve dramatically. You guys remember the video I made about PlayStation Now, like a couple months ago, and how it's the worst gaming experience I've ever had? They got a lot of work to do with PS Now. But I think the service will improve. They will probably add more titles to the service. I don't expect them to do what Microsoft's doing and be like, oh, if you subscribe to PlayStation Now, you get Horizon Forbidden West day one at launch. I don't think Sony's ready to do that. I think Sony still wants to get all the money that they can from the individual game sales, and then people will subscribe to the service, because they will still have a good back catalog of PlayStation games across multiple generations. But again, the service is only as good as the games are only as good as the quality of the service. If the service is awful, the games are going to play like shit. So that's the big reason why PS Now hasn't really been able to grow, because it's terrible. It's a really terrible service. So, okay, Sailor Mercury says PlayStation Now sucks. All PS3 titles are locked behind streaming. There's hardly any new releases either. The PS4 library on there is meh. Some games leave the service after a couple months too. And then Summonon says PS Now is frankly a sad failure. They need to make it better. And Phantom. Sony doesn't focus on PS Now nearly as much as they should. Despite the quality of Sony's products, they have a bad habit of introducing things and not supporting them. PS Now, Vita, PlayStation Move. We'll get to PlayStation Move later, actually, and PSVR, because technically PS Move turned out to be a lot more successful than Kinect, and no one predicted that in 2010. Like, oh no, PS Move is just like a ripoff of the Wii, because it pretty much was. There's no way this thing will be successful. Kinect is going to be the future of gaming. That's what people were saying 10 years ago. The exact opposite turned out to be true. Kinect is dead, and PlayStation Move is still relevant because people use the PS Move with the VR headset. So I find that very ironic that PS Move actually technically was successful. But yeah. What's up, Hooded Reaper? Thank you for tuning in. And Sailor Mercury, remember PS Move and Kinect, chasing after Nintendo with gimmicks. You probably typed that right before I said it because there's a delay on the stream. And then John says, how can we trust your predictions when you predicted Nintendo Switch would fail and you were completely 100% wrong? Well, I'll tell you why. Because back when I made that video, probably back in 2016, early 2017, are any of you, do any of you guys take any of the stuff I said back then seriously? I'm pretty sure back when I was saying the Switch was going to be a failure, I also said all PC gamers are communists. I said that console gaming was superior. The human eye can only see 30 FPS. I called myself the console king, for crying out loud. I had a toy microphone in my hand. So, yeah, I think it's okay to take... I understand where you're coming from, but I think I've come a long way since 2016. So, that's my response to that. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch, we will talk a little bit about the Switch just like before we end it. And of course, I will spend time taking your calls. If you want to be a caller on the stream, my Discord is in the description. It's MrNoobTubeGamer. Hashtag, what is it? I think it's 8864, but I need to make sure. Yeah, it's 8864. Okay. So that is my Discord. So if you don't have me added on there and you want to be a caller, add me there, and I'll tell you guys how the calling works when we really get to the end. But that's how it's going to work. It's going to be one-on-one calls. It's not going to be like a server or anything, because I feel like if I try to do a server thing, everyone's going to hop in the server, everyone's going to be in the chat at the same time, and it's just going to be really really overwhelming. So I want to make it like a bit more organized, and I want it to actually go over smoothly. We might have one surprise caller too, but I'm not gonna promise anything because that person hasn't responded to me yet. But yeah, so PlayStation Now has a long way to go. You're not gonna have day one PlayStation Now launch games, which, if they really are more interested in PlayStation Now than the console itself, then you think they should do what Microsoft's doing and have like all their games released day one, because a big problem besides the service being terrible is the game library is kind of meh. Like, yeah, you get all these games, but I think as far as like the game library goes, I go as far as to say that Microsoft has a more impressive game library. Microsoft did something smart where they have the backwards compatibility, so you're not forced into streaming like you are with PlayStation Now. People like me tried to stream a game from PS3, like Infamous 2 and Saints Row 2, and like looked at how awful it was and was just like, fuck this, I'm never gonna look at this again. And that's exactly what I did. And the other thing is, when you're streaming from PS3, the PS3 sucks. Like you can't increase the frame rate, you can't do stuff like that. That's why backwards compatibility, like hardware backwards compatibility, is a huge advantage for Microsoft, because they can, have increased performance that will be a lot more attractive. Now, I will mention the PlayStation Plus collection, where you do have a library of games that are included with PlayStation Plus. I don't think that's going to really, I think that's just Sony's method of kind of, saying, oh, look, we have something. It's just a way for them to try to counteract Game Pass, to try to soften the blow. But it's not. Obviously, Game Pass is going to be a better value than PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now, whatever you want to say. That's just Sony saying, look, we have a collection of games too that you pay for a subscription. That's pretty much just them saying we have a game collection just to say they have one, essentially, and to attract people to PlayStation. I don't know. I mean, the game library looks pretty good. I think it's 20 games? Nothing good, it's just there. That's the best way to describe it. I will say within the next 2 years, now that we're talking about PlayStation Plus, I predict that sometime within the next 2 years, PlayStation Plus will increase from $60 a year to $70 a year. I would be surprised if, despite all the work, despite all the shit that they might be doing to overhaul it, at this point, I'd be surprised if PlayStation Now surpasses 10 million subscribers at the end of the generation. Unless they make a huge push, unless they do what Microsoft's doing and just have it all, all the games day one. But I think Sony has made it clear they're more interested in selling the games, and they think there's a lot more money to be made that way than with these subscription services. So Sony and Microsoft just have two completely different priorities. And that leads me to my ultimate prediction for this generation. Microsoft is going to win the subscription war between Game Pass and PlayStation Now. But as far as actual hardware sales, Sony is going to sell a lot more PlayStation 5s than Microsoft will sell Xbox hardware this generation. That's my prediction as far as hardware sales. The PlayStation 5 will outsell the Series X, the Series S, and any other series consoles Microsoft will release. I'm gonna say that PS5 will probably sell. So right now, the PlayStation 4 sold 110 million units. By the end of the generation, by the time it gets discontinued, we'll probably reach around 125, 130 maybe. That'll probably be the final sales figure for the PS4, making it the second best-selling console in video game history. It already is the second best-selling console, behind only the PlayStation 2. And I'm not including handhelds. I view them separately. So to anyone's leaving a comment oh, what about the DS? I view them separately. Consoles and handhelds, separate. So, that's gonna be my prediction. But with the PlayStation 5, I think we're gonna see a similar success with the PS5 as we did with the PlayStation 4. I do think we're gonna sell around 130, 135 million PS5s by the time it's all over. By 2027, 2028, whenever the PS5 is discontinued, I think we're going to see something in that ballpark. I will also say that about 80 million of the 130, 135 million PlayStation 5s, about 80 million of those PS5s will be the digital-only versions of the console because it's cheaper, because most people have abandoned physical media anyway. This generation is just going to be the nail in the coffin for physical. That's how I see things going. And then the other 50 million or so units will be the standard PS5. I think the digital PS5 is going to be a lot more successful than the standard one. That's exactly what Sony's looking to do. That's exactly what they want. And I think that's what's going to happen. So for the Xbox, I'm going to say that they are going to probably do a little bit better than the Xbox One with the Series consoles, only because of the Series S. If it weren't for the Series S, I would have had things about the same as they were last generation, where right now there are about 40 million Xbox One sold worldwide. Now, that's like, the figure hasn't been exactly updated. I know they have sold a lot of Xbox Ones with the Rona and all the shit that's been going on. Apparently, they sold a lot of Xbox One X's lately, so the sales numbers will probably be around 55, 60 million-ish by the time the Xbox One is discontinued. I think that will be the final sales figures for that. And I think with the Xbox Series consoles, I think it'll actually do a little bit better. I think Microsoft is going to sell about 75 million Xbox Series consoles throughout the generation. And as I alluded to just now, most of Microsoft's success will come from the Series S, which I predict will account for about 45 to 50 million of Xboxes sold next generation, while the $500 Xbox Series X will only sell about 10 million, and the other 10 to 15 million consoles sold will be the $400 console that I talked about. It will be the Xbox Series X digital. So the same specs as the Xbox Series X, but in digital form. Because as of right now, the only digital Xbox, the digital only Xbox is the Series X, Series S. But I think in the future they will release a discless Series X. I know, it's very confusing, it's very convoluted, but that's how I see things playing out. Phantom says 10th generation will be all digital, and I concur. And we're going to talk about that. So, and if you want to know why I chose Sony, for my reasoning why the PlayStation 5 will outsell the Xbox Series consoles, number one is exclusives. Now I know Microsoft is making big plays. They bought Bethesda, and they might have a lot more first-party games than we initially thought they were. But I still think Sony is going to have the edge with first-party titles over Microsoft. So ultimately, the reason why people buy any console is for the games, and I think Sony is going to have a better offering than Microsoft, as they did with the PS4 versus Xbox One. I mean, what games did we have on the One? The Master Chief Collection, piece of shit. It didn't even work. I think it still has problems today in terms of like running properly. So that didn't really go over so well. It really wasn't a great experience. What else? Gears of War 4. People didn't really like that one. And Gears of War, what was it? Gears of War 1 Remastered. People really didn't like that one. Gears 5, people liked Gears 5. I know that. Crackdown 3. Sunset Overdrive, which apparently is coming to PS5. Because they own Insomniac, and they also own... Sony now owns the IP of Sunset, so they'll probably remaster that game and put it on PS5. Yeah, there's not a lot of Xbox games I can think of. Sea of Thieves? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. I don't think so. So that's one reason. The second reason why I'm going to actually say that Sony is going to succeed over Microsoft, is going to sell more consoles, I'm going to say backwards compatibility. Now, I know what you guys are going to say right now. What the fuck is wrong with you? Your backwards compatibility? You're giving the advantage to Sony? Definitely have a few loose screws in your head, because Microsoft, obviously, is the better console when it comes to backwards compatibility, right? I mean, you can play all the Xbox One games. You can play a lot of 360 games, original Xbox games, while the PlayStation 5 only offers PS4 backwards compatibility. So how the hell are you going to give the advantage to Sony over Microsoft when it comes to backwards compatibility? There's obviously something wrong with you. I'm sure that's what half of you are thinking right now. Let me explain. Again, as we talked about earlier, the sales for the PS4 versus the Xbox One. The PS4 sold about 110 million units so far. The Xbox One, they've sold about a third of that. Microsoft has sold a third of that with their Xbox One, so it wasn't even close. This generation was not even close for Microsoft. So the install base on the Xbox One, the pre-existing install base, is a lot lower than on the PlayStation 4. So I'm going to argue that it's a lot more meaningful that the PlayStation 5 is compatible with almost all the PS4 games. I think Sony just released a list of games that weren't compatible, and there's only like 6 or 7 of them. So it's not like it's not like half the library is not compatible. Most of the library is compatible, and the PS4 was a huge success. So if people see that a lot of the game library that they've already accumulated, that they can bring that over to the PS5, that's going to mean a lot more than Xbox One games being playable on the Series X. Because there's just a lot more people that play their games on the PS4, almost 3 times as many as on the Xbox One. And yeah, you know, original Xbox and 360 backwards compatibility is really cool, but is that going to make the difference? I don't think so. So I'm actually, backwards compatibility, advantage Sony. I know that might be a little controversial to say, but I'm going to go as far as to say that. Because the fact that your PS4 library that you already have can go over, that's going to make you more likely to buy a PlayStation 5 than to go to an entirely new platform and not be able to take advantage of the enhancements and the SSD on the new console, because you'll be forced to stick with the PS4 if you want to keep playing PS4 games. But if you want to get a PS5, you get faster loading times, you get better performance, because it is a native hardware backwards compatibility. It's not the software shit that they had with the 360 on the One. So yeah, I'm going to actually give the advantage to Sony. And the third thing is the PlayStation brand as a whole is a lot more prestigious. It's a lot more meaningful right now than the Xbox brand. Yes, they have Game Pass. Yes, Microsoft's doing a lot of things. But ultimately, people see the name PlayStation. That means a lot more to people right now than Xbox. So just it being a PlayStation console, it's going to give Sony a huge advantage. And that kind of goes into the exclusives that I talked about earlier, that Sony's going to have an advantage with that. But also, Sony has a huge foothold over the Japanese market that Microsoft just has never been able to cut into. They just haven't been able to do it. And I don't think they're going to really do it this time either. So that already gives Sony a huge advantage, that they have such a huge presence in the Asian market that Microsoft has never been able to even put a dent in, that's going to be again, they've had that disadvantage forever, Xbox, but I think that's going to continue. So, yeah, that's why I'm giving it to Sony, but as far as the services are concerned, Microsoft wins. Game Pass beats PlayStation Now. No contest. But as far as the PlayStation hardware, it's not even going to be close. Like, we're not going to see what we saw with the 7th gen, where it was pretty much neck and neck with Sony and Microsoft, where I'm pretty sure the sales for the PS3 and 360 were tied, about 85 million units apiece. And that's pretty impressive considering that the PS3 was struggling through half its life cycle while the 360 was doing great. So, we'll see. So, just a few more things we'll talk about, and then I'll get into the calls about trends that we'll start to see in the new generation. So, this generation, what we really start to see more than the last gen, it really didn't exist. 7th generation, we didn't really see these microtransactions, these loot boxes. That really wasn't a huge problem with the 7th gen as it was in the 8th gen. So something new is going to come up. There's going to be some new bullshit, as there is every single generation. 7th gen, you had the online passes, you had the on-disc DLC, you had a lot of bullshit. I'm not trying to say that 7th gen was perfect. The point I'm trying to make is that every generation from the 7th generation on had a whole bunch of problems. I mean, the 6th gen was amazing, 5th gen was amazing, 4th gen, but 7th gen on, we started to see a lot of bad shit, a lot of greedy shit. And one of those things that we're going to see, $70 games. Don't you want to pay $10 more for your games than you are right now? You guys want to pay $70 instead of $60? Well, it doesn't matter what you want because it's going to happen anyway. I mean, that's not true. The thing that people need to realize is that you need to vote with your wallet. The reason why these corporations get away with all the shit they do is because you're giving them money anyway. So why should they do anything different? They'll raise their games to $70, but you'll still pay $70. So why should they lower them? They're doing it because they think they can get away with it, and I think they're probably right. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I think eventually games will be $70 will be the standard. At least on consoles. I think eventually it'll happen on PC. Because remember, around 2009, 2010, as games were still $60, on Steam they were still $50. So it'll take some time before $70 hits the PC. But I don't know. I think $70. I used to say that $70. The whole point I was trying to make in that video about games going up to 70 is that we have the power to make sure that doesn't happen. But considering how complacent a lot of people are, just accepting things and just buying shit no matter what and not voting with their wallet, I don't know so much. Do you guys think that $70 is going to be the standard? I mean, we're already starting to see it, but do you think like $70 will be the set price for almost every game? Do you think that's going to happen? I think it's very possible. So I think that's something we will see. I mean, I hope not. It's one of those things I actually hope I'm wrong about, but I have a bad feeling $70 is going to be a standard. It just it makes me want to vomit just thinking about that, but I think it just might happen. Subscription services, again, Game Pass we talked about, PlayStation Now. Stadia's not looking so good. The new Chromecast doesn't even support Stadia. What does that tell you about Google's priority with the Stadia platform? I feel like they've already given up on it. Or they recognize that it's not going to be as successful as they think it will. But I'm going to tell you guys, this is my big concern for the next generation, which I think is on equal footing probably even more concerning than the loot boxes that we've seen over the past 5 or so years. I think the quality of games are going to go down significantly. I think as these subscription services become more and more adopted, become more prevalent, we're going to see a problem where Microsoft and all these other companies, they're going to do what Netflix is doing and not necessarily not really care about the quality of the content that they produce, but just having as much of it as possible so you subscribe to their service. That's what we're seeing on Netflix. Case in point, all these shows that Netflix puts on, they cancel it after 3 seasons. They don't care about the show actually being good or, being successful. They care about the service, about getting subscriptions. And I think if subscription services do take off, I think the problem that we've been having the past 5 or so years, even longer, where just the quality of AAA games just keeps going down and down and down and down and down, we're going to see a lot more of that if these subscription services really do take off. Because Microsoft's going to release their games day one. And if EA and Ubisoft, they're going to see how successful Game Pass is, and they're going to be like, we're going to do our own thing. Like EA, I know they're working with Microsoft, where if you have Game Pass Ultimate, EA Play is included. But I think eventually they will break away from Microsoft and compete with Microsoft when it comes to streaming. And then same thing with Ubisoft. They'll have Ubisoft Plus. I think that's what they have on Uplay. They'll bring that over to streaming. EA's going to do it. Activision's going to do it. And all these other companies, they're all going to have their own subscription services, to the point we'll have 7 or 8 subscription services competing with each other. And in order to compete, they're going to make sure they come out with as much games as they possibly can. Oh, Elder Scrolls 6, Game Pass. And they're going to rush that shit. I mean, I guess if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out sooner, that might not be a terrible thing, considering we've waited almost a decade at this point. So maybe that won't be terrible. But you know what I'm saying? The problem that we've had where games get rushed and they're not being finished, they're not getting the care that they deserve, with these subscriptions, we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of that. Because you're not going to pay for the individual game. You're going to pay for the service as a whole. So if you play one shitty game, you're like, fuck it. I mean, I still have all these games to play. That's what people are going to... That's what people are going to be thinking. So, yeah, there's going to be more competition in the streaming market. I think the quality of the games are going to dilute as the subscription services get more successful. Prices will go up. I imagine that Game Pass will see a price increase sometime throughout this generation. So the $9.99 a month, the $14.99 a month, eventually that'll be bumped to $15 and $20 a piece for Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. I'd be surprised if they didn't increase the price. I'd be surprised if they kept it that way. They only have the price that low right now to get you in on it in the first place. And then as it gets really successful, they'll raise it. That's what Netflix did. Why wouldn't Game Pass do the same? So I think that's going to happen. SSDs. I do think SSDs are going to, hard drives will be extinct over the next 3 or 4 years. Not just on consoles, but on PC as well. I think the SSDs on PC... I think the SSDs on console being built in to every console is going to make them more standardized on the PC market as well. And yeah, I mean, we will see a lot of good stuff from SSDs, how the loading times will be a lot faster. Maybe developers can design games taking advantage of the faster loading times, like open world games, like Cyberpunk. I mean, not Cyberpunk, but whatever CD Projekt does after Cyberpunk. You know what I mean. Fallout 5, Starfield, games like that could really, open world games that have a lot of loading cells, that really have to limit their core game design and world design to have, you want to go to Diamond City in Fallout 4, you have to go through a gate. Loading cell. Oh, you want to go to the bar, the Dugout Inn. You have to open the door. Oh, you want to go to your, you rented a room at said bar / hotel. You have to get into another loading cell. So, you know what I mean? I think developers will be able to take advantage of the new SSD technology. I really don't think we're going to see like a huge thing where like, oh my god, the PS5's SSD is so much faster and could do so much more than the Xbox Series X. I don't really think that's going to be a huge problem. I don't think we're really going to have to worry about that so much. I really don't think that's going to be a thing. But as far as like HDDs and SSHDs for that matter, they're going to be gone. Because SSDs will come down in price. SSDs will be standardized, and eventually SSDs will become a requirement. Now, I did say in a video not too long ago that if you are looking to build a new PC, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you got a 2 terabyte hard drive right now and then waited to get an SSD when it gets cheaper. But SSD still will eventually become standard. Another big prediction as far as like the overall effects of this generation. So far we talked about $70 games, subscriptions making games shittier than they already are, and SSDs. I think my fourth big prediction, as far as like the after effects of this generation, that will affect the video game industry forever, is the complete collapse of the physical market on console. We saw it on PC about 10 years ago, and we're going to see it again with consoles. I cannot imagine the physical market surviving on console after this generation. I just don't see it happening. Because discs used to have a utility to them, right? It used to be on the PS2 and even halfway into the PS3 and 7th generation, you put a disc in, you're ready to go. So it was actually very convenient to just do that. To just get the disc, put it in, and boom. But now these days, even Blu-rays, there's not enough storage in the Blu-ray to just fit the entire game in there and just be ready to go. No, you still have to install it on your hard drive or your solid-state drive, whatever the fuck you have. That's just the reality. And that's one big reason why I think physical media has declined, because you're installing it on your hard drive anyway, and you do save a few gigabytes. I think like 10 gigabytes is how much a Blu-ray can hold. But still, it doesn't have the practical use it used to. Plug and play is dead on consoles. It's been dead for a while. So that needs to be said. And oh my god, I got a donation. I did not see it. I am very sorry. I'm going off on a tangent. I did not see the $5 donation. Thank you, Slip, for your $5 donation. I invested $350 into Microsoft stock via Cash App in February. It's now worth $555. Series X for the price of a Series S. Microsoft is killing it. And I'm not trying to say that Microsoft is gonna fail. And plus, like, when it comes to stock, the stock market is not gonna tell you the whole story. And plus, Microsoft's got more going than just Xbox. I mean, Microsoft is a huge company. Aren't they a $1 trillion company at this point? So, I mean, hey, I'm glad that you made money on the stock market. Definitely hold on to it if you still have it, because I think Microsoft is definitely going to keep growing and growing and growing as a company. But good for you. I'm glad you made a good investment, and thank you for using part of that investment for me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Slip. I appreciate your donation. PC games are $60, Sailor. And the reason, I'm sorry I've been like kind of ignoring the chat a little bit. I figured I'd more than make up for that when I take the phone calls. And I just wanted to get through this as fast as possible because we are over an hour and a half live. So I did want to like just kind of, focus more on that. But I'm sorry if I didn't read your message. I feel kind of bad, but I will I will take the calls very soon. So I think GameStop will be completely bankrupt by 2023. I mean, the writing's already been on the wall, even before these digital-only consoles. I mean, the digital-only consoles, like I said, is going to be the nail in the coffin for that. But, I mean, it's been happening. GameStop has been doing really bad, even before we've had these digital-only consoles. Because the physical market has been declining regardless, right? But the digital-only consoles being cheaper, the $300 Series S and the $400 digital PlayStation, people are gonna get the cheapest console they could possibly get. Because that's how consumers are. They want the lower price tag they see, they're gonna pick that up. So that's the main reason why I think it's GameStop's gonna go out anyway. Either way, I think GameStop's done. I don't think there's any way they can survive. I just don't see it happening. That's not me saying I want it to happen. Of course, me personally, I would never walk into a GameStop ever again after the way they've treated me. On multiple occasions, I've had very negative experiences with that store. But at the same time, a lot of people work there, and it would not be a thing to celebrate if they do go out of business. But I do think it's going to happen. I think the digital-only consoles accounting for a majority of the install base on these new consoles, it's gonna accelerate it because, the main reason why I've been to GameStop is like, oh, I'm doing something else, and I see GameStop, I might as well just walk into the store. Oh, this game is really cheap, I might as well pick it up. Having that disc capability, even though I haven't really been buying a lot of physical media, if I see a good deal, I'll be like, okay, let's go to GameStop, let's get the game. But if I won't, if a lot of people aren't going to even have the capability of having the discs, that's going to hurt GameStop a lot. And I think GameStop is really nervous about these digital-only consoles. I think 10th Gen will be digital-only. I can't see physical survive. I just don't think it's happening. Yeah, I mean, Sailor, I did see that. Reggie can only do so much. I mean, Reggie was there with the Wii U, I'm not saying Reggie is bad, but I'm saying it's not like everything Reggie touches turns to gold, Even he can't pull a miracle out of his ass, even though he's very talented. And as far as Microsoft goes, I don't think that partnership, that might delay the inevitable, but I think the inevitable is still happening. Because ultimately, GameStop needs Microsoft a lot more than Microsoft needs them. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to really be a big difference maker. I think they're done. I can't see them surviving. So, that's one thing. The predatory loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions, that's the thing. Raising the prices to $70, but the microtransactions that we had before, all the awful shit, it's still there. So what are you paying the extra $10 for? Absolutely nothing. That's what. I think it's a bit too optimistic to imagine that loot boxes are going to go away completely. Now, yeah, I know a lot of games, they switched over to a battle pass system, but I don't really know if that's going to make a huge difference. I don't know if that's going to completely get rid of loot boxes and pay to win. I guess the battle passes are kind of replacing that, but I don't know. I just can't see it going away completely. Kind of like how 7th Gen, we kind of saw a lot less of the on-disc DLC, and DLC in general, we've seen a lot less of it, but it's still there. The new Watch Dogs game, they have a season pass, they have DLC. DLC is still a thing, even though they've been starting to phase it out in favor of these online games as a service where everyone gets the same free updates, games like Overwatch did it, Modern Warfare did it, where there's no DLC, all the new maps, all the new content, the new heroes, whatever, everyone gets, but you have the microtransactions to support it. But still, the DLC still existed with certain games also. So I don't think that the loot boxes are going to go away completely. There is a possibility that governments will regulate and say it's gambling, so that it could happen, but That might be a little too optimistic. And even if they do, even if loot boxes do go away, don't think the AAA publishers won't find a new and innovative way to rip you off. They always come up with something. Just because one thing's gone doesn't mean that they won't just do something else. So even if loot boxes are gone, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. Phantom has childhood trauma from GameStop's trade-in values, so they can kick the bucket for all I care. I haven't been inside of a GameStop in like 4 years anyway. There's no point anymore. Totally agree. Sailor Mercury says battle passes will substitute loot boxes. They still plan to rip us off. I'm kind of conflicted about battle passes because there's the idea of having a seasonal system. I want to know what you guys think about this real quick. Maybe I'll just save that for the calls, but battle passes piss me off because it's so annoying. Because I don't have time to dedicate myself to play one game nonstop for 2 months or however the fuck long a season lasts, right? So I'm paying $20 or however much, $10 for a battle pass. So I'm paying for DLC, but I'm not paying for the content. I'm paying for a chance to get the content. I have a bit of a problem with that. Because if I pay for the battle pass, but I don't have the time to just, to complete the challenges, to complete the battle pass, I lose out on the content I paid for forever. Yeah, I think I have a bit of a problem with that, actually. Even though it's mostly cosmetic, I know. But with Overwatch, most of the loot boxes were also cosmetic too. So I think I have a problem with both, honestly. I have a problem with battle passes. But that's just me. Another thing I think they're gonna do, in terms of like, what I said, new and innovative ways to rip gamers off, these companies, if it's not loot boxes, if it's not something else, I think another thing they're gonna do, and something we've already seen, is, we had a thing where you had one game, right? You had a single player and a multiplayer. I think it's very possible that at the end of this generation, meaning the end of the 9th generation, we're going to see a lot of games where the two modes of a single game become two separate games. So what do I mean by that? I mean games like The Last of Us 2, where they didn't make multiplayer. They took multiplayer out, and it just wasn't in The Last of Us 2, even though it was in The Last of Us 1. And they're going to sell it as a separate game. So you'll have two games for $60, $70, two modes of a single game being sold as two separate games. Rockstar already confirmed they're doing that with GTA 5. GTA Online is going to be sold as a separate game from GTA 5 starting next generation. And by the way, if you buy GTA 5 on the PlayStation 5 or Series X, I'm trying to think of a polite way to say it, but I can't. You're fucking retarded. You're fucking retarded if you buy the PS5 version of GTA 5. Just putting that out there. I think we're going to see a lot of that, where game modes of a single game will be sold off, will be separated as different games, even though they're supposed to be in the same game. So you'll be paying double for the same game. I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I guess the excuse you can make is that, well, the multiplayer it's its own thing. But if they still have microtransactions and still have loot boxes, there's no excuse for me to pay separately for multiplayer. I understand there are a lot of people who they enjoy single player games, and you can expand on single player and focus on that, and then get to the multiplayer when you're ready, and then make a separate game for that. But that does not sit well with me. I probably will not support games that do something like that. releasing a great single-player game first, then a multiplayer offering afterwards. Ghost of Tsushima. Actually, I don't know about that. I actually don't know. Are they Sucker Punch is making a Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer as a separate game, like a separate $60, or is it like a DLC? I don't know. I don't know about it. I know about Ghost of Tsushima, but I didn't know that they did that with the multiplayer. I understand like why that, like, there could be benefits to that, but when I'm used to like going back 10-15 years of getting one game where you have awesome single player but you also have an amazing multiplayer, paying separately for those two things now, I would not like that very much. Oh, multiplayer's a free patch, so Sucker Punch, they're good. They're good. Never mind. I'm gonna say Sucker Punch, you guys, you motherfuckers, you're charging separately for online. No, they're not. But as far as my predictions go, that's about it. I think now we can get to the calls. I want this to be as organized as possible. I don't know how many people want to call in. Let me pull up my Discord right now. If you want to call in, send me a text message right now, and then depending on who sends the text first, I will talk to you first, and then we'll do it that way. That way it's more organized. So if you are interested in calling in, do it that way. My Discord is MrNoobTubeGamer #8864. It's in the description. So if that's what you want to do, send me, if you're not my friend already, add me if you want to do the call. And if you are my friend, send me a DM right now. Okay, Magnamaster, you're first. So I'm gonna call you right now and see if you answer. I tried to call. Okay. Let's see if this works.
Hi.
What's up?
Alright, sorry, that was my microphone.
You're good. How's it going?
Going alright. Just playing some games while watching the stream.
I see you're playing Genshin Impact. Is that actually a good game?
It's pretty decent. It has its problems, but I enjoy the things it does right.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a lot of things about it, but I never bothered getting into it. I know it's like a Chinese game. I heard a lot that it's like similar to Zelda. I don't know anything about it.
They definitely decided, hey, let's take Breath of the Wild and make an anime gacha game out of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard it's a free-to-play game, but the microtransactions aren't like too bad, right?
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Summonon says, I sound gay, so no, I can't do that. He can't call me. Damn. You gotta have more confidence in yourself, bro.
I mean, I sound like my microphone is bad, but...
I mean, it's okay. This is not... It's nothing serious. It's just a stupid live stream. Like, no one cares. You know?
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to talk about, like, specifically, or just...
Yeah, specifically the fact that with the new consoles especially now, people always pull out the stupid teraflop argument.
Oh, yeah.
So, that is so stupid, and every time a new generation of GPUs comes out, it becomes more stupid. And yeah. I think the most recent architecture from NVIDIA is the best example of that. So, the thing is, teraflops are measured through the card's performance in floating point operations. Well, not really the performance, but like the theoretical performance in floating point operations. But floating point operations aren't the only operations. There's also integer. And how NVIDIA increased their theoretical core count so massively from last generation to this generation is they just took a lot of cores and previously each core could perform one integer and one floating point, and they did it now that instead they can do one integer, one floating point, or two floating point, which is why even though some cards are like way faster than last generation cards, in integer they barely made any advances.
Right.
And with every game it's different how much floating point and how much integer it uses. I mean, Nvidia made a good choice there because games mostly use floating point, but there's still some games that use a bit more integer than others.
Mm-hmm.
And same will apply to console games. So if they just if you have some console games that like, I don't know what AMD's next architecture looks like, but if they did anything similar, how, like, the way the game's programmed and especially the engine could be a huge factor in how it will actually perform.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA and AMD's performance compared to the theoretical teraflop numbers have historically been very, very far apart from each other.
Yeah.
So it's especially stupid to compare them to NVIDIA.
Exactly. Like, people are like, oh my god, the Series X, just looking at the teraflops, it's just as powerful as a 2080 Super, but that's not how it works. That's what people don't realize.
Yeah, if you look at the teraflops and use that as an argument, you're a complete moron. That's just how it is.
It just shows that, like, it's okay if you don't know, right? But when you pretend that you know and say that you're an expert, you come off as a fucking idiot. Like Colt Eastwood and all these other people out there.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a huge disparity between the PS5 and Series X, really. I think there will be more, obviously, like the Series S is less powerful, but that's more to do with it being, it can only run games at 1440p, which it said it will. Like, it can't do 4K. And I think that's okay. I don't think it's going to, like, really hold games back that much.
I don't think the Series S is a very good product, but I think it will do very well.
Oh, yeah. Like, I personally wouldn't buy it, but
I think it will.
It will be successful.
The only console this generation I would even go as far as to consider would be PS5. But even then, I would only ever buy it used a few years down the line when I can get it really cheap, because all that bullshit is just really not worth it. The few games I want to play on it.
Yeah.
And if the backwards compatibility with PS4 is not massive like most games, then I won't even bother.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about PC is that, like, backwards compatibility was never a problem, ever. Like, any game you ever want to play, you could just play it on PC. You don't have to, like, worry about, oh, is it compatible? Even like when they went from, like, Windows XP to 7 to 10, like, you had a few hiccups, but it was easy to just, fix it. But with the PlayStation, they tell you which games you can and which can't play. Like, and with the Xbox, right? You have the Xbox 360 games that you can play on the Xbox One, but you can't play all of them. Only the games that they say you can play, because it's software emulation, not hardware. So I do think ultimately, like, even though they've definitely been a lot better with backwards compatibility on consoles, it's just on PC it's a whole different level because there's no restrictions at all.
Yeah, and I feel like with the backwards compatibility stuff, they've made some somewhat scummy moves from time to time, because I was playing some original Xbox games on my 360 that I got, and I wanted to try out Rayman 3, and it turns out that isn't backwards compatible. Like, but I'm pretty sure Rayman 2 was, but they sold Rayman 3 on 360. So they made sure you have to rebuy it.
Yeah. That's something.
So like, I hate selective backwards compatibility.
I hate it so much because there's like, why can't I play Sneak King on my Xbox One? Why can't I do that? I can't play Sneak King, the Burger King games. I can't play it because it's not backwards compatible. It's just, even though they're like obscure games and they're not like the most requested games that people want to see, just the fact that I can't play all of them, like, I kind of have OCD on that. Like, it kind of makes me like, why can't I play all the games? Like, I think it's definitely better to have that than to have nothing at all. Absolutely. But I think native backwards compatibility is just so much better. I'd even go as far as to say that if I were like, I'm probably never going to buy a console again, honestly. Like, that might be an extreme thing to say, and then I might prove myself wrong in a few years and buy, like, a PlayStation 5 or a Nintendo, whatever their next console is. But as it stands right now, especially with the paid online, I can't get into it. But the big thing, like if I were still a console gamer, I feel like if they had like a premium version of the console, maybe they charged like $100 more, let's say, like that's the most I would pay, but included like all the hardware from previous PlayStations that had a built-in PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. You can play every single game. That'd be fucking cool. Like, I would be into that, because it makes practical sense why you can't just do the full backwards compatibility, right? Because the PS3, very, the architecture is very different from what you had in the PS4 and now the PS5. There's no excuse for the PS1 and PS2 though. They already have the emulation going. They could put an emulator in the PS3 though.
They could easily run emulators with perfect accuracy.
They can, and I'm sure if they wanted to, they could do the PS3 also. But as far as like native backwards compatibility, they could pull it off. Like include the PS3 processor in there, and then have where you could just play everything natively. I think that would be awesome, because this is good. It's definitely a lot better than it was before, where you had no backwards compatibility at all. But I think just being able to find any game I want on PC, whether it's 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, and just boot it up, no problem. I mean, that's just an amazing experience that I hope console gamers could have.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing games from various eras on my PC recently. Like right now I'm playing a game that was released last week. Before that I played a 12-year-old game, then a 2-year-old game. It's great.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about games in the near future either, because even though my graphics card is 5 years old, it's still powerful enough to handle pretty much anything new. And the processor I've had in this for way over a year is already more powerful than what's in the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
And at the same time, AMD just came out with a new set of processors that are even more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'll see on the stream that it looked like I was just looking at my phone the whole time while you were talking, and I wasn't paying attention. I actually was, but I just put it in the chat, if anyone else wants to talk, because I'll let you talk until someone else wants to.
Yeah, I got some eyes on the chat.
Yeah, that's why I did that. I'm not trying to be a dick. I listened to everything you said.
It's fine. You can be a dick. I've bullied you from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So
yeah.
What else have you been playing lately besides Genshin? Anything interesting?
I've been getting back into Dark Souls, and I've also tried various Souls-likes, and Among Us. I've played that as well.
I haven't played it yet. I haven't played it. Among Us.
We can play it sometime.
Yeah, I know. I just don't like.
The interesting thing is,
yeah.
I played that game for a while with a group of people. Then we stopped for a while, and then suddenly the game blew up.
The game blew up?
Yeah, it became super fucking popular.
Oh! I thought you meant it blew up your computer or something. I'm like, what? No, okay, yeah, it did blow up.
Dude, I wish if my computer blew up and killed me, I would never have to see people argue about teraflops ever again.
Yeah, I've never played Among Us yet because I have like a few friends that play it, but it's just like a pain in the ass, like finding people, because it really is like a game that like is better for like voice chat, obviously, and just finding like 6, 7, 8 people to all be in one game. It's just very high maintenance for me, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can hook you up. Just hit me up after the stream.
Yeah, I mean maybe I'll. It's only like $5, right? So fuck it, I could buy it.
Yeah, and it's free on mobile.
Fuck mobile. I don't want to play games
I
on that.
agree, fuck mobile. That's the thing too. Genshin Impact is that game is pretty much supposed to be the mobile game that proves mobile games can be different, but it's completely ruined by the restrictions of mobile because it requires a constant internet connection. And if I'm over here in the fucking mountains, sitting in the fucking bus or whatever, and I'm trying to play the game, I get interrupted because it disconnects like every half minute.
Yeah,
And the half minute that I then do have internet, it takes to connect again, and then I get instantly disconnected again. Ah, horrible. But yeah, I
yeah.
definitely recommend to treat it more like a PC game
Mm-hmm.
and only as a mobile game if you're like on the toilet or some shit.
Yeah, I just have a thing where like if like playing with friends is one thing, but just like getting with random people, I don't hate it, but it's just like I'd rather not if I don't have to. But I know like there are games like Among Us, another one, Squad, if you've heard of it before. It's like
Yeah, for me, it heavily depends on the game. Something like Among Us, I just don't want to play with public people. I've seen videos of public lobbies, and it's fucking crazy how stupid people are.
yeah, I
Like
just
someone gets voted out and it's like, "Why did you vote me out?" And someone says, "Oh, I didn't like your name."
yeah, I just hate it. I hate playing with public. I hate all that shit. Like I don't know why I play so many online
I,
games
I,
if I hate it so much.
I hate playing with actual. I hate playing with randoms when intelligence is required to at least some degree.
Yes, like
I'm
tactical
cool with it
shooters and all
when
that shit. Yeah,
if I'm playing Quake Deathmatch and I'm on my own, I don't have any team to drag me down or whatever.
yeah,
It's cool because it's like, hey, if my enemies are stupid, that's my benefit. But in things like Among Us, even if your opponents are stupid, that will just completely ruin the game.
yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to bring up? Because someone else wants to call in.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much it. I just wanted to bring up the retardation of the teraflop argument and how and the backwards compatibility thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
thanks for having me and take care.
yeah, no problem. Let's play some games together soon. We haven't done that in a while.
I'm down.
All
See ya.
right. Yep. Bye. All right. So that was Magna Master. Dr. Daniel wants to call in, so you can call me whenever you're ready. Um, whenever you're ready to call, just call in. He said he's nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about. I'm not like the fucking president of the United States. I'm just some random jerk off on YouTube. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Um, I tried to get Bullet Barry to come in, but he's not. He didn't respond. He's probably off doing his mushrooms in his little hippie van, whatever he's up to these days. I don't know. But I thought that would have been cool to have Barry come in for a little bit, but I guess not. Whatever. It is what it is. Chad molested me last Discord we had. What? What a Sierra. These people in the chat are fucking nuts. Fucking crazy people out there. Oh my god. Alright, Dr. Daniel, you're ready? I guess I'll just call you. Fuck it.
Yep,
What's up?
it works. Hello.
How's it
How's
going?
it going? Pretty good. My end, all things considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's-
Was
So
only a little bit nervous because it's a stream and there's people watching. So
there's
I'm a
like
bit.
there's like
I'm a
nine
huge-
people. There's
I
like
know, I
nine
know.
people.
I used to be very, very conservative. Didn't want people to hear my voice, but I've gotten better with it this time.
Yeah, no, I'm
know.
kind of the same way. I know where you're coming from. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah, considering your older videos, yes. I remember that very well.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about?
Got a lot of things. I did have a question. Do you have Call of Duty Black Ops 1 on PC by any chance? Because I do, and I wanted to play it with you, but I don't have it on 360. I do have it on 360, but I don't have Xbox Live. And I wouldn't
No.
want to.
Yeah, no, I only have it on 360 because I would have gotten it on PC, but it's still like $30 or $20, and no one plays it on
40.
PC. It's like dead.
People play it, but not a whole lot play it. I mean, you'll occasionally find some servers, but most are Nuketown or hardcore. There is a server that has all game modes, but nobody ever plays on it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, what's the point? Like I said, I don't pay for Xbox. I use the Bing reward thing. That's the only reason why I still have it. Xbox. But yeah, no, I would have gotten it on PC, but it, like I said, if no one's playing, it's kind of a waste. So
The only mode I could find is like Team Deathmatch, and I'm really getting sick of Team Deathmatch because that's all anybody wants to play.
well,
Like,
yeah, I mean on console on the 360, it's the same thing because I mean it is a 10-year-old game, so don't expect like a whole bunch of people to be on. But you still have like I would say at least like 1,000+ people are playing on the 360, and you have full servers of Team Deathmatch, DLC included. So that's why I still play on Xbox because the community is just so much more alive over there. But it's literally only for my Call of Duty shit. Everything else, I mean, my Xbox collects dust pretty much. It's just for my second channel. But
my my 360 collects dust too. I've only been using it to play through Red Dead Redemption 1, and that's because I don't really have a choice but to play it on 360. Because Rockstar decided it shouldn't have a PC for it, I guess.
Like, this might be like an unpopular opinion. I think Red Dead Redemption 1 is better than 2. I'll go that far.
I haven't played 2 yet, so I can't comment. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. 2 is amazing. You should definitely check it out, like whenever you can. But I don't know. One was just something special. I liked it so much. Like I liked the single player campaign better, and even the online multiplayer. I mean, Red Dead 2 online is just awful. I mean, I'll never play that again.
I heard Red Dead 2 Online was basically just a watered-down GTA Online, and they never released any updates for it, so it basically died as soon as it was released.
Yeah, and the microtransactions are ridiculous. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, it's like ridiculous amount of money just for like a horse or a gun. You know, it's just not worth your time. And that's what I hate about most of these online games is that like you're just wasting time for no reason. You're like grinding it out for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sounds like Grand Theft Auto Online all over again. I used to play that a lot with my friends, but after a while I just realized there's nothing to the game but grinding, and it wasn't even fun anymore. So I just stopped playing.
Yeah, and people are dicks
so
in public lobbies.
That too. Oh my god, the grief. How many?
It's
I
awful.
can't count how many times I'd go shopping, and I'd get hit by an oppressor because someone decided to just fire missiles into the ammunition.
Yeah, it's gotten worse because they put even more shit into the game where they have like flying motorcycles and all this fucking shit. I feel like I'm in Saints Row, not Grand Theft Auto. It's just so much shit going on at once.
I actually did get that bike, but in order to get the missiles on it, you have to spend like $4 million because you need to also own a terabyte, own a nightclub to have that terabyte, and own a bunker, and do research into the rockets themselves.
Yeah.
So it's all this effort for little payoff.
I quit playing because it just wasn't worth my time. I could do so many other things like than just grinding out a 7-year-old game, you know?
It's a joke that it's still even going or it's still popular.
GTA 5 is the only reason why we don't have GTA Online and people buying the shark cards. It's the only reason why we don't have GTA 6 right now. The only reason.
I don't get why people buy shark cards anyway, because they're not even a good value. You pay like $100 for only 8 million in-game dollars. And 8 million in-game dollars is nowhere near enough to get anything in the game. It's only enough to get like maybe one business and get it up and running.
Yeah, it's crazy.
GTA 5 itself's not even that good, honestly. I finished it like a week or two ago, and it didn't even really feel like a Grand Theft Auto game to me at all. Just kind of felt like it had the name tacked on.
Yeah, you know, I thought it was good, like the single player campaign. I still like, as far as Grand Theft Auto goes, I mean, San Andreas is just on a different level.
I
That
think
game.
four is honestly the best one.
Honestly, I agree. Like, I was actually gonna say 4 after, like, before you said it. I know people like to say that like 5 is better than 4, but
No, it's not.
I enjoyed 4 so much better. I actually liked the physics of the game so much more than 5. Like in 5, you punch someone twice and they're dead. But like with GTA 4, you could like shoot them in the chest like 3 times and that you could see like they fall down, and it feels like more responsive than 5. And the driving is like a little bit not the best that we've seen in the GTA series. I think I'll give the driving to GTA 5 actually. But
I just still like in saying that, I still like the weighted feeling of GTA 4's driving. Every car definitely felt unique.
Yeah,
And
I like it.
It felt like it.
Oh yeah, you'd like fall out of the windshield, and it was crazy.
Yeah, that can happen in 5. It's so rare. I only ever had that happen one time.
Yeah, my favorite thing in GTA 4 was always like you punch someone, and then there's a cop car, and then like you go up to the cop car, and then the person like tries to attack you, and then the cop like fucking takes their guns out and shoots the person that punches you. It's just funny. I love how everything that goes on. Yeah, I just love the open world of 4 so much, and like even like the online, it was simple, but it was so much better than having to worry about grinding this and grinding that. It was just simpler days back then, I guess.
I never got to play GTA 4's online because I didn't really get to play the game properly until this year. I only played it at a friend's house a few years ago on 360.
They shut it down on PC, right?
Yeah,
online.
they did. Yeah,
because of the games for Windows Live. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to downgrade to play multiplayer, but I never could get games for Windows Live to work. You're supposed to use your Xbox account. It never worked for me, so I just didn't even bother.
Yeah, it did. It actually did work for me. The online I had a few problems with, but I don't know. I'm kind of sad that it's offline, but I guess, you know, knowing how it is on PC, people will find a way to bring it back. So I guess we could play it one day. But it's really fun. Like GTA 4.
I have to downgrade my game.
Yeah.
To do that.
It's very underrated, I will say that, because people were shitting on that game when it came out back in the day. GTA 5, GTA 4.
GTA 4 is honestly the best one. You know, and people like say San Andreas is the best. You know, not to be rude to San Andreas, but you know, when I've been playing through it again this year, it honestly feels very flawed. I think Vice City was much better overall. Like Vice City had a lot of better things than San Andreas did.
Yeah. Vice City, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would say that Vice City is a better game, because I like the whole, like, the map of GTA San Andreas. I love the whole fact that it took place in 3 different cities. I just love that whole dynamic of it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think like any GTA game is really bad. Like, I haven't played a bad GTA yet.
I don't think any of them are bad either. I don't know. I don't really care for the 3 cities in San Andreas. I like Las Venturas and the starting area of San Andreas, but I don't care for San Fierro or, you know, Whetstone. Places like that I don't really care for, because it's mostly just a bunch of empty space, whereas Vice City, yeah, it's a lot smaller, but every location's memorable, and you can remember it pretty much by heart. Yeah. Everything feels alive.
GTA 4, Liberty City at night, oh my god, it's amazing. I love it.
It looks so good at night.
It looks amazing. It looks fantastic. Especially with texture packs, holy shit. It's awesome.
I haven't gotten to try with texture packs. I'm gonna have to at some point.
And that's the thing. People said, oh yeah, GTA 5 is the biggest map in the GTA series, but you know, like, half of the map is just like a giant mountain. You know? I hate that.
Not to mention when you gotta do missions where you gotta drive 8 miles, so you just spend 8 minutes, or probably 20 minutes just driving.
Yeah, go from Los Santos to Paleto Bay just for no reason.
Oh, the amount of time they had to do that was so bad. Never again.
Yeah, it's it's terrible. And yeah, that they do that on purpose. The free, like, you know, they have like the business pack or whatever for the online, and they have the bunkers. They have it as far away from the city as possible just to piss you off and make you buy shark cards. It's just, I hate the online for that. I loved it back in the day, but then I realized, like, this is just a waste of time.
I know. It's fun at first, but once you realize the grand scope of everything, it's just not even fun anymore.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I was waiting on a good time to mention this, and I haven't now, but remember when you said you didn't like Team Fortress 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started playing that like a few weeks ago, and I've started to really enjoy it. And I kind of disagree with you thinking it's a bad game. I think it's honestly a pretty fun game. I know it's not for everybody. It's a very special kind of game, but I find it very enjoyable. I play with friends mostly, but
Well,
you know,
I will say one thing. For a game to have a pretty healthy player base after all this time, it did something
13
right,
years.
obviously.
13 years.
So,
Yeah.
it's obviously just me, but just coming from my personal taste, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I can understand why. I still agree that CS:GO is pretty poop though.
CSGO is awful. I hate that game so much.
Never played it. Oh no, you know what? No, I did play it once on my old computer, and it ran at 13 frames on low settings. I played for about 27 minutes. It was awful. I never wanted to play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever played Saints Row?
No, I have not. I've watched my brother play Saints Row 3. I do own Saints Row 2 on Steam. Yeah, I know it's a pretty bad port, but I've heard there's fan fixes out there, so you know, I plan on playing that at some point. I would play the first one, but that's Xbox 360 only. So.
Because you're referencing my unpopular opinion video where I talk about TF2. I also made another one talking about Saints Row. Saints Row 3 and 4. Terrible games. Awful. I mean, they're not terrible games. They're terrible sequels. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, they're games where, depending on what you played first, will depend on what you think of them. Those who grew up with the first two games probably hate them, but if you grew up with 3, you'll probably really like it. And probably not like the first 2. It's all a matter of what you played first.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, I'd imagine someone that played the new Modern Warfare before all the other ones, so like, oh my god, this game is so awesome, but like, it's not what Call of Duty's supposed to be. That's what I hate about it so much. The new Modern Warfare 2019. Terrible. I think it's the worst Call of Duty ever made.
Yeah, I haven't played that one at all, Modern Warfare 2019, but it doesn't look like COD at all. It doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, you're really not missing on it. Missing much. Trust me.
Speaking of COD, though, I'd say Infinite Warfare is actually pretty decent, though. I started playing it earlier this year because my friend wanted to play zombies in it, and the zombies mode's really good, but honestly, the multiplayer was also fun for what it was. Yeah, it's just like Black Ops 3, but I don't mind.
Yeah, it's actually, that's the thing. That's why people hated it so much, because it was just like Black Ops 3, and it didn't really do anything different. And people were sick and tired of the futuristic Call of Duty. But on its own, it wasn't a bad game. And I guess you could say the same thing about Modern Warfare, except, I mean, the skill-based matchmaking, it's just awful. Like, they break up the lobbies every time. There's no, like, you're not in the same lobby as the same people you played with. It breaks the lobby up just so the skill-based matchmaking is as accurate as possible. And it's just so frustrating. Every game, it feels like I'm in $1 million championship tournament, because like the skill-based matchmaking is so strict. Like, everyone's on the same playing field, and I guess like as a concept it sounds good, so the bad players, you know, they're not like discouraged from playing. It's just, I like stomping people. I like stomping noobs. Like, I want to have that experience also. Like, I want variety. But with the skill-based matchmaking, it's just they don't let me do that.
And from what I've heard, the game is just camping with claymores, waiting for people to open doors.
Yeah, and that's another reason. Like, the gameplay is just so slow. They got the doors, and they got those little grenades, like, where you could see people through walls and wall bang them. There's just so many different things that, like, in that game that just, they cater to people that camp and don't move. Like, you can't rush in that game and get a positive KD. You just can't do it. It's impossible. And this is coming from someone that's played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. I'm not going to say I'm a great player or even a good player. I am above average, though. I have, most of my Call of Duty games I have above a 1.5 KD. With Call of Duty World War II, I have like a 2.3, 2.4. So I am, like, I'm not bad. Like, I know what I'm talking about with Call of Duty. This ain't Call of Duty. Modern Warfare ain't Call of Duty.
Right.
You can't move. You can't do anything. Like, that's what Call of Duty is supposed to be. It's, like, not tactical. It's not supposed to take itself as seriously as the other FPS games like Rainbow Six and Squad and all those other, like, games that are more focused. You know, it's really like, yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, you can't rush in that game either, but it works because it's what...
The game's designed around it.
It's designed around that, exactly. Yeah. But Call of Duty, it just doesn't work. And that's why I think Modern Warfare is the worst COD of all time, because on its own, maybe it wouldn't be a terrible game, but when you put the name Call of Duty and you put the name Modern Warfare on that, you have a lot to live up to, and I think they failed completely with that.
Yeah. My first Call of Duty was actually Call of Duty 2 for the Xbox 360. And then we also had Call of Duty 3, so this was around 2007 though. So I actually played the original classic CODs before like Call of Duty 4 came out and all those. But Modern Warfare 2 was probably the first one I really loved a lot. That game was just so special when it came out. I just remember everybody was talking about that game when it came out. It was the biggest deal ever.
Oh yeah, it was my first. Modern Warfare 2 was like the first M-rated game I was allowed to play like ever.
Yo, same. It was one of my first modern M-rated games I was allowed to play, because I was allowed to play like Duke Nukem on the N64, but I wasn't allowed to play World at War, like the main version, for whatever reason. I don't get it either.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else?
I don't think there is. I would like to play some games with you on Steam though at some point.
Sure, definitely. What games do you have like that you play?
I have a few Call of Duty games, but I'm trying to look.
Yeah, I the only Call of Duty I play on PC is actually, ironically, Modern Warfare. No,
yeah, I know you played World of War once and didn't like the chaotic feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean, I like it. I mean, I don't hate it, but I'd rather play it on console, I guess. I don't know, because I guess I'm used to Call of Duty on console. That's what it is. Yeah. And with Modern Warfare, it just works on PC better because it is like more tactical and slow. But I don't know. Call of Duty on PC has kind of been weird for me. Even as like a full PC gamer, I still can't like play the older ones on PC because they feel so weird. Like with the FOV turned all the way up and the custom servers and the custom maps, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels like a completely different thing.
I remember trying Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer on IW4X, which is a client.
Yeah, I remember
jacking up the FOV, and I'm so used to the normal gun models that with the higher FOV, it just looked so off to me. Like the game felt so weird because I was so used to the lowered FOV.
Yeah, it feels like weird. Like it takes a while to get used to, definitely.
World at War, I was able to get used to with it because, well, I didn't really play World at War much back then. Mm-hmm. I had the DS version. I had like the DS version of every Call of Duty game as a kid, and played the main versions. So.
Right.
As for games I have, I do have Doom 2016. I haven't played its multiplayer yet. I do want to.
It's actually really good. I think the multiplayer for Doom 2016 is very underrated, but I know a lot of people disagree. I got a lot of shit for talking shit about Eternal for not having multiplayer, so.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I have Doom 2016. So I'm going to. I also have both Left 4 Deads. I don't have Left 4 Dead 2 installed. I don't really like Left 4 Dead too much.
Really?
I love the first game though. Yeah, I don't like 2. It's mainly OCD. There's a lot of things it did I don't like. Like most people might not notice, but for me, it just feels not as good. It feels like a downgrade in terms of the gameplay. For the most part.
I don't know. I kind of like Left 4 Dead 2.
I mean, it was fun while I put 201 hours into it on Steam. I had fun, obviously.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst thing. It's just by the end, I'm just like, I don't want this anymore.
Alright, well, we'll figure out something to play whenever.
Right.
Trust me. We'll get to it. Alright, well, thank you for calling.
Yep.
Alright, see you later.
Yep.
Okay. So, I'll take like 1 or 2 more calls if anyone else wants to call in. If not, then I'll just tune out. I believe the pin message is still there where I tell you which, like my Discord username and what to do, send me a DM and then I'll call you. That's how I'll do it. Dr. Daniel, thank you for calling, and Magnamaster, we had good conversations. So if anyone else wants to call, now's your opportunity. Sierra Air wants to call in. I wonder what that's going to be like, because I don't know. If he keeps it video game related, if he tries to get like political and I might have to just say can't do that, because I want to keep everything gaming related, definitely. Because that's I don't want to get into, we're not talking about like non-gaming stuff on this channel. That's just not what we're doing here. But I don't know. Anyone else wants to call though? Anyone else besides Sierra Air? And if not, then I will end the stream. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes. But if you guys have any like suggestions for what you want to see in the channel in the future, definitely let me know. Like while I have you guys live right now, I'll listen to some feedback, because I feel like my channel's been kind of slipping away lately, like in terms of views, in terms of subs, and the views have kind of come down a little bit. I've been making more money, interestingly enough. I guess that just has to do with the advertising. Not that the money is really, I make like 20 something bucks a month, nothing crazy, but I have noticed a little bit of a slip. So if there is something I'm doing wrong or that I could do better, definitely let me know. If I got Rags to call in, it would be interesting to see that conversation. I would love to talk to Rags, but he's MIA. I don't think anyone talks to him. Even Bullet Barry, he told me that he doesn't really talk to him that much these days either. So he's dead for all I know. I don't know what happened to him, but that would be a very interesting conversation, definitely. I was trying to get Bullet Barry on here again, but he's in his own little world in the Mushroom Kingdom. So that's fine. But I would love to talk to Rags. I would love to talk to Bullet Barry again. I would love to talk to any of the old PC guys from back in the day. That'd be really fun. Having recaps for my COD channel? Maybe. I mean, I think that the COD channel is a little different, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know if people would appreciate that so much. I noticed my viewers on the COD channel have a much shorter attention span than on my main channel. So my main channel gets about at least 50% viewer, like 50% retention on my videos. Let's say a video is like 10 minutes long. People will watch the video for at least 5 minutes, maybe 6 or 7 minutes, like on a really, really good video. With MrNoobTubeGamer, my second channel, I can make an 18-minute video. The average viewing duration is 2 minutes. That was my last video, 18 minutes. It was top 10 underrated maps in Call of Duty. And it had an average duration of 2 minutes. So I do notice the attention span of my viewers are much shorter on my second channel. Not to like say anything bad. Of course, I love my subscribers on my MrNoobTubeGamer channel, but that is something I've noticed that's very different. Maybe because this one focuses a lot more on like more in-depth and analytical discussions like about video games and the industry, while the COD channel is just me jerking off playing COD. So it just is two different audiences. I do notice like my COD channel is on track to eventually surpass this one in terms of views, in terms of... Actually, I already have more views on the COD channel than this one. I just don't have 3,700 subs. So, but I am on track to get 1,000 before 2021. I'm on track to get the 4,000 hours of watch time by the end of this month. So I will be partnered very soon on my second channel, which will be very nice. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'll try to do whatever I can to get this channel, to keep people into this channel. I have a few video ideas, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah. But if no one's going to respond, if no one wants to call, I'm not going to keep the stream going any longer than it has to be, because my voice is getting... I can feel my sore throat right now, and it's I'm starting to get a little burnt out. I'm sure a lot of you who have been watching this whole time feel the same way. But last chance, pin message MrNoobTubeGamer hashtag 8864 is my Discord if you want to call in. You have not much time left to do so. And if you already have me as a friend, you could just call me right now and I'll answer. If I didn't talk to you already, so Dr. Dan and Magna, you guys are out because I talked to you guys already. But anybody else who wants to talk, I'll give you like 30 more seconds. But actually, I'm really happy about the way the stream turned out. Thanks again to the person, I forget your name, I feel so bad. The person that gave me $5, it means so much to me. It's definitely, like, I don't come in here expecting super chat. Like, I have the super chat turned on, but it's not like something that I just come in expecting to get. So it's a nice little extra thing I get, because I love talking to my, I guess you can call them fans, viewers, whatever you want to say. You know, the people who tune into these live streams. You guys seem to really enjoy them. I hope you guys enjoyed this one also. I had a lot of fun doing it. I think the last one was a little bit more spicy. This one was a bit more, oh, here's what I think about the PS5 and the Series X. So it was a little bit more boring, but we'll spice things up for the next stream. I think I'm going to stream not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after. I think I will do another live stream because you guys miss them. I mean, usually I stream like once every 3 or 4 months, which is crazy. That's kind of low. But I also don't want to be like relying so much on streaming that I'm like review tech. All I do is stream, and I don't make the videos anymore because I think people ultimately still they come for the videos, not the streams. So I don't know. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do in the future. But since no one's responding in terms of the, no one else wants to call in, I'm gonna leave it at that. Oh, Princess Scarlet can't get on Discord on time. That sucks ass. Yeah, if you can't get in like if you can't get in soon, like I'm not gonna just keep talking and talking and talking. Like my voice is about to crack. It's about to die because I've been talking 2 hours nonstop. My seltzer ran out a long time ago, so I haven't had anything to drink in a while. So my throat is like really killing me right now. I should have come in with more seltzer. All right, so I guess that's it. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.